in the six days that I was in a coma, my mom, she said that she played my show for me, the one I just did live with all my music, like my favorite music at the time.
That's sick.
And she just played it thinking that maybe if like I could hear my own music, like even though I'm completely unconscious and I don't recall this happening, of course. But like,
and you just like wake up and then turn it off and go back. What the fuck is this?
Look at my twins. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. Look at these twins. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. Look at these twins. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. Look at these twins. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. That's Mary Kate. Titties out, just like a pin.
Because that's Mary Kate. 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 That's Mary Kate.
Kai Turner.
that it is.
That it is. You want to give us a little insight of who you are?
Well, my name is Kai Turner.
Yeah, you are.
I am a senior at UCSC right now, except I should be like finishing my graduate degree if I was like on schedule, but I am like now 2 years behind.
Yeah.
2 years, represent, baby.
So this would be my 6th year of regular college, or like 3 years community college, 3 years.
Are you the creepy senior that they're like, oh, who's that old man? Is it like that? You know, when they're like, why is this
I
dude 50 playing ultimate frisbee with us? Are you that guy?
Ultimate frisbee? No, we play disc golf up there.
Whoa. So you're the 50-year-old that's like, hey, shirts for skins disc golf. Are you that guy?
No.
You're 50?
Are you?
That was good. That was really good.
He got you,
That was
dude.
good. That was
All
actually
right, but we
crazy.
should give a better intro. So
yeah.
this is our buddy Kai. He's been through a lot the past year,
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years.
Well, especially this last year, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Like 2021, 2022.
crazy.
Like 2021 was definitely a doozy for everybody.
Yeah.
Literally a nightmare.
October, not fun. Not
You
fun.
want to break down what happened to our baby boy, our baby blue-eyed boy? I just keep saying it like third person, as
Well,
if
what do
like
you
there's a
wanna
different
know?
boy, but I'm talking about. So basically, I'm gonna give my perspective for what I found out happened to you. I think Dylan and I were at Walmart, and then we were walking around like the bike section, and then we saw like a Razor helmet, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a cool helmet." And then he was like, "Yeah, you remember Kai?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember Kai." He's like, "He wears those every day now." And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he wears a helmet now all the time. And I'm like, is that like a fashion statement? Like how in Bob's Burgers, like that one daughter would always wear that, like those bunny ears. And then he's like, no, Kai got in an accident.
It's not like, at all.
So you're telling me this is not the case, but
So that's what
parts of that are true, but I don't know about the Walmart part. I mean, why were all of y'all at Walmart
I
looking
wasn't
at
there.
like kids' bikes?
We weren't looking
I
at
mean,
kids' bikes.
that's
We were
where all
looking
this picks up girls.
No. Okay, fine. I do, but not pick up. It's kind of like, oh, look, a boy, what, maybe like 55 pounds. And I lift him up, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, no, this is more 65. And then I put him back down. I'm not going to go pick up kids like a pervert.
All right,
No,
shit,
I'm just,
sorry.
I've been
Okay.
working out, dude.
I'm glad you clarified that because that sounded really bad like 30
Yeah.
seconds ago.
But there was this hot 5-year-old.
No.
Okay. All right, we're cutting. Okay. But
Oh my god.
so yeah, what caused Dylan to tell me that you wear a helmet all the time now?
Skull surgery, craniotomy, I believe it's called, where they remove 10 square inches of skull directly from your skull, and then you don't have it anymore.
That was
I mean, that's like,
Did they keep it or do you have it like at all? Like,
to my understanding, it is in the freezer, some freezer at UCLA.
you don't get to keep it though? Like,
I mean, if I get in contact with them, they might give it back to me, but I haven't actually looked into that. And it's been like close to like 10 months since they took it.
That's
so
insane.
they might just remove them if they feel like they're never going to give them back, which would be kind of weird.
Like
but,
remove like your skull bone.
well, I mean, they just probably
Throw 'em out.
purge it eventually. Like
That's a
because we
violent
ended
word. Like do you like purge as in like, oh, we're gonna set it on fire, or like we're gonna let it out once a year and anyone
purge
throw
just
crime to
means
it?
you remove things that you don't need
Purify.
anymore, at least to my understanding.
Oh, okay, that's like a fancy word to say like take out the trash, right? Would you say?
Sure.
Because that's how I'm imagining. Because like
Yeah.
when they say purge, they really just like putting it in a plastic bag and then tossing it. But is there like at the back of UCLA like a trash can full of like foreskin? Is that?
That's good. I wonder what they do with
I
that.
don't want to know this answer, but I'd be more concerned about where the bones that they have to remove, where do those actually go? Do they sell them?
To pet stores?
Are they?
Like, hey, you want some
think-
Kai skull?
Why can't I just give it to my dog?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you should call them and get it back. That'd be a great like,
Okay, well, okay.
souvenir.
If I get it back,
Yeah.
I mean, this was mine to begin with. I
Yeah,
own it.
Exactly. So I'm
Yeah,
saying,
wait, did you give consent? Like, hey, UCLA?
No, I was unconscious.
That's crazy.
stole
So,
from you.
do you think all the UCs just started
Well,
bidding for
I
your
mean,
skull bone?
I didn't give consent to them like removing skull
Yeah.
to begin with,
Yeah.
but I had no choice because I would have died probably
Yeah, that's
otherwise,
true.
which we don't want.
So how would you feel? Let's just say like in 10 years, like you're famous, you got like going for you, and just like on eBay, like your 10 inches of skull is being sold.
12.
How are you feeling?
Oh, closer. Okay.
That is very unlikely, mainly because like that piece of bone has to like survive for 10 years. And right now it's in like
It's
formaldehyde, probably in some jar.
yeah. So I mean, I feel like it could. I mean, they have bones that are like 10,000 years old, just sitting on the
Okay,
ground.
yeah,
like,
but that's because they're preserving it. Like the purpose
Yeah.
of like holding onto this one is that it's eventually they thought was going to go back into my skull.
Oh.
And
so what do you have on you right now?
instead, I have a prosthetic piece
Okay.
that was custom made, probably 3D printed to some extent.
Yeah.
It's called ClearFit. I don't know actually very much about it. I need to get in contact with the company and be like, hey, what did you put in my head?
For real.
What is this?
They put like a
Can I get the like AutoCAD scans of it? I want to know
Yeah.
so I can like if I mess it up, I can just 3D print a new one.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's actually, bro. Imagine just replacing your whole head like that.
See, the way what I think about is
you had a mohawk right now?
I mean, I have the mohawk. It
Did
was
have a
my
mohawk for a
choice.
bit. Oh, wow.
The reason I have this whack cut,
I think you
I
look
don't know. I
good.
think it looks great.
I think it looks great.
I think you're beautiful.
Kai. All
Ah.
right. We got 3 casts.
He's
We're
like,
gonna
he's
go
like,
porn.
just kidding.
Come clean.
Ah.
All this is a beautiful person
100%.
Kai.
on the outside.
On the inside.
Questionable.
On the inside,
Really? You think so?
Nah.
All right.
Nah.
on the
Unless-
inside, he thinks 5-year-olds are hot.
He said that earlier. He said that earlier.
That's on the outside too. Fuck, we gotta cut. So, who's editing this episode? We're gonna have a
You
Patreon.
keeping track of this?
We're gonna have a Patreon that just has all our like heinous stuff. Our anus stuff. All our anus stuff. Wait. So,
me see.
so UCLA is it? Why did they happen to have to ship the part of your head to UCLA
So,
instead of like them
okay.
using the freezer in the kitchen?
So we can't use our freezer. As much as I would have. No, I would.
It's like in Tupperware.
No, it's because the original surgery was not done at UCLA. It was done at the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, SCVMC, which is just over the hill here. I know we're in a hotel in Santa Cruz, so like 30 minutes over the hill and we're there. So that's where the original like emergency surgery was done to remove that piece. And then they held on to that piece for a while. And then for a while in like early 2020, we thought that I was going to do the replacement surgery at UCLA. But
Oh, that's
then
why.
the problem was that our insurance wasn't going to cover it. They didn't have like an agreement with UCLA of some kind. So I had to then go to the other side, go to USC
Damn.
for my
You're a
surgery.
Yeah, go to the
traitor.
competing
So
school.
like the competing school.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
And I go to a UC.
Oh yeah.
Which is,
Oh, that is
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, you're a
it's the
cheater.
UCSC.
Do you think like in like your 3D model like head they like etched like USC Trojans onto your head, and then like he
If
doesn't even
they
know what he's
did,
representing.
I'd have no way of knowing.
Wait, how did the hair grow back? So do they put like a skin graft over?
No.
Because how does your hair? Because your hair is like perfect.
All they do is they lift the skin out. It's like they peel it off, not all the way, like part of the way. It's like opening like that seal on like a juice box or like a gallon of orange juice. You have to like undo that thing.
Okay.
And obviously you're going to take the thing all the way off, but for yogurt, for example, you like undo the thing like only most of the way, such that you can eat some of it, and you can close that and then put the lid on top of it. Same. That's an analogy, but yeah, same.
Which part of your head is it? Like, where is it on the left side?
It's on this side, obviously, because there's like less skin over here, or I'm sorry, less hair over here.
So hold on, like, we haven't really gotten into like what happened.
Oh yeah.
You want to break that down real quick?
happened?
Obviously, we know what happened, but the people don't know what
of
happened.
course.
Like,
Well,
What do we name our fans? The clean comers?
No.
the Cummers.
Cummers.
Cum Nation.
Well, I mean, I do have to finish like.
Cum sluts. Sorry, what did you say, Kai?
Yeah, I do have to finish like. So they take the skin off and then remove the bone and then put like the skin back and then just reseal it.
It went all the way. They resealed it all the way.
Like I don't know if you can see the line anymore, but it kind of goes around the back and then to about here. It's like this line and like wraps around my ear right here. And so if I had like less hair rather, then you'd probably be able to actually see it, and you could for a long time. But at this point in time, because of the hair, it's being blocked by the hair, so you aren't really seeing what's actually going on under that scalp.
Is it because there isn't like you can't feel pain there? Well, you do feel pain, but it's like does it hurt?
I do feel things.
Yeah.
I do feel things. It's like every time I poke at it, it's like, ow, that was like a dull pain right there.
Oh,
so
wow.
like I don't want to do that.
Is it gonna stay like that forever, or does that like mellow out?
I think it's because it's only been just over 2 months since the surgery that did it, or that the cranioplasty surgery that you put the piece back in.
Yeah.
And so it's only been 2 months, and I already feel like pretty great. It's not 100%, but if you had no idea, and I feel like a lot of the people I've met at university, if I don't tell them directly, like this history, like they're just gonna assume I have a whack haircut, and that's about it.
Hey, I've seen worse.
I'm assuming.
We've seen
I've had
worse.
Wait, so we want to break down what happened?
Oh yeah. So a good old 10 months ago, last September, the very end of September, I was at UCSC. It was like literally fall quarter had just begun. It was Monday of week 1, literally the first day. First day. I had a long day, some classes, went to the library to do some homework, visited a couple of my friends in their new dorm, played pool against some other students who I ran into, and they were pretty good. I was better. Just kidding. He was what do you call it in Valorant where you just miss like a shot just by a little bit? It's you
noob.
No, I mean I'm missing it. I'm missing it. It's you whiff. You're whiffing. So like he just kept missing just by a little bit. So he just was not sinking anything. So I was able to like sneak in behind him and go. And he's like, rematch. I'm like, I want to go home. Bye. I'm gonna take this dub and dip out of there. So I'm on my longboard, and I use this like kind of medium-sized longboard to get around campus. It has these giant wheels. It's really smooth. Really like I built that thing up custom so that it's like perfect for what I needed. However, UC Santa Cruz is nothing but massive hills, and y'all saw it. Like no matter where you go, you're going up a hill or down a hill. UCSC is secretly called UC Sexy Calves because after 4 years there, your calves will look damn nice.
I thought you said cabs. I was like, you guys are taking like taxi
Yeah,
cabs and shit.
Taxi cabs. UC Sexy Cabs. UC Summer Camp. I forget the other ones, but yeah.
You see sexy cocks.
Just
Yes or
you.
no?
Just
What were you saying?
Why do you ever do that?
I'm sorry.
I cannot comment on said statement.
Okay. Well, guess what? I could play Kai and comment on said statement.
Just comment.
Hi, I'm Kai, and there's sexy cocks everywhere.
Wow, we love that.
All right, back to
Hey, I'm Aldus. I'm the founder of COC Kappa.
Yes, sir.
We have one rule, and that is, what is the rule? What is the rule? Hey, Kai, can you tell me what the rule is?
The rule is no rules, except no Mexicans allowed. It's a really weird rule because like the founder loves everyone,
That's
but
super
then
weird.
it gets like really he gets really racist, and I'm like, why the fuck? And he always says it with a grit of his teeth. Like he's like, hey guys, heads up. Not he doesn't say it like, hey guys, no Mexicans allowed. He says it like, no Mexicans allowed. Like he's angry wall.
You look at me. When
My
you said that.
I don't know, dude. I'm just saying it in the voice of the person.
Okay, all right. No, you're right. That wasn't you that said that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, you're just relaying the message and you.
Yeah.
COC Kappa. What were we talking about?
Talking about you were about to get to the hill.
I was about to get that hill, though.
Yeah.
What that hill do, and that hill does terrible things. Are you? Y'all need to learn sign language. Okay. So yeah. So I just I was about to say beat this kid, but I against pull in pull.
Oh, okay.
to be
beat off the
to
kid.
be clean. Yeah. Played against pull. It was like 11:30 at night, and I was feeling gassed up. I was like, I am back.
It was
on,
11:30
at night. Yeah.
Damn.
Because it was a long day. I was there for
Yeah.
the entire day. And I mean, at that point, I was like, okay, time to go back home, go to the apartment, nap, get up for Tuesday. So I went from like where the rec room was with the pool table, and I skated my way down across the field, and then where my car was this big parking lot called East Remote. And there's this like pathway that, I mean, the field is like all the way up here, but the parking lot is down like some ways down, and there's this path that has a good grade to it, and you just generally would walk down that, and me being me, having like, I don't know if you remember at COC how COC is just that big grade all the way down.
Also, for context, that's College of the Canyons, where we all met and became friends. College of the Canyons represent.
COC
One
Kappa.
school I'll represent. COCK. COCK.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, COC has that big hill. It's not as bad as what this hill is, but I mean, I would skate down that thing every day at the end of work. And I just like book it all the way down, literally all the way down to that lower parking structure. And I got used to it and kind of just okay with it, I guess. Like I'd never really fallen. I knew how to like deal with it. I was good at skating at that point, or at least longboard skating. And so I was like, it's a hill. I've been on hills. And so I go like half the way down because I'm not like familiar with that hill. I go down the rest of the way. No problem.
This is your first time on the hill too?
First time on the hills. I mean, like ever.
Yeah.
So I went down that hill, went around the corner, went to my car, dropped my laptop off, dropped everything off. And it was like 11:40. And I was like, I could go home right now. But I was so gassed up. Like I said,
Because you beat that kid?
for other reasons. I was just excited to be there on
Oh, okay, yeah,
campus.
because you were just like your first day, and you're
Yeah.
like, wow, I'm living it.
So
you beat him off, right? On the table?
No. Yes. No.
Yeah, yes. Right? That's
Let's
the
reenact
I
story.
that
mean, we were. I mean, that game does have to do with balls.
And sticks.
More than two, though. More
And
than
coming a lot, right?
no.
And holes.
6 of them. 6 of them. How many? 6. There's corner pockets.
Continue your story. I'm sorry.
Y'all are chaotic.
What's going on?
So I was gassed up. I was like, I want to hit that hill again. I want to eventually be able to go from the top to the bottom of this hill. And so the way to do that is you work your way up little by little. And so I went up there the second time, went up a little further than I had the first time, came down, no problems, took the corner. I'm like, yeah, this is an easy hill. I'm going to go up. A third time, went up a little higher, went down, did my thing. I was like, I'm going to just like maybe do one more because like I'm getting cold. It was a kind of a cold, chilly 55, 60 degrees kind of evening. A little humid, but like cold humid. So kind of weird.
Oh, that feels kind of cool.
I mean, it feels nice,
yeah, I
but
feel
like
like-
as you're zooming down the hill, like your eyes just start getting dry, and I don't know. So I went up like one more time, and that was gonna be my last time. I went to the top, And I remember like looking down the hill, and I had gone up like to a point where it was a little steeper. And so like the moment I got on the board, I was going to start moving. So I had to like get myself ready. I'm like, I'm going to go down this hill, and I hop up, crouch myself just a little bit, like get in the stance and book it down the hill. And that is the last thing I remember.
So how far though? Like how many seconds like after you launched? Like, do you remember?
I remember the picture of looking down that hill and getting on the board and starting to move. And I mean, heart pumping, because that is a big hill, and I'm booking it. I went down that hill multiple times, so I remember it from probably multiple angles and also going over. So I remember that at the very bottom of that hill, where it transitions from that path to the tarmac, there's like this weird metal thing that you bump
like a
over.
Drain, right?
It's a drain. It's just like a cover for the gutter that goes underneath there. And when you go over it, I remember that was like the scary part, because every time you hit it, it goes bam, bam, like underneath you, and you have to careful that you don't like steer off by accident or do something weird like that. And I had gone through it at that time like 3 times.
Oh, whoa.
Without issue. And I have memories of that. But that last time where I was up in that higher position, I remember getting on the thing, starting to go down the hill. I can imagine, going around the turn, but it's truthfully, that's kind of the last thing I remember.
Whoa.
And
Just waking up in the hospital?
that's what happened next. I woke up in the hospital.
How many days later was that?
To me, I thought it was like later that night,
Oh, okay.
or just sometime after, maybe a day. I don't know. I woke up. In real world time, it was 7 days.
Whoa.
Dang.
7 days that I was there.
What was your first thought? Were you like really hungry? Or don't they give you
I was not
nutrients?
hungry.
Oh,
I
okay.
was tripping out. I don't remember very much. It took a while before I started actually like building memories again. And I do remember being very confused in this very specific room with like a window on one side and a hallway, or like a door to a hallway outside. And I could sort of see like into the area that the actual like cover things, I think, were glass, and so you could see through them. But
Wow.
Were you able to like put 2 and 2 together? Like you kind of like knew like, oh, I ate shit on the board, or you
I
were
had
completely
no
lost?
idea why I
Okay.
was there. I was confused and dazed. And the reason why I was dazed is because what actually happened going down that hill is I booked it around the corner. And at some point, I'm thinking near the bottom where it goes bam, bam. And I don't have like proof of this, and no one saw it really. So like we don't know exactly what happened. But what we do know is that my board snapped.
That's crazy to snap. The longboards are hard to snap too.
Yeah, I mean it on the weakest point. So this was like a drop down a longboard where it has those kind of loop de loops on the front and the back, and the trucks, they go up into it like over from the top, and so you screw it from above instead of underneath. And looking at the pictures after the fact, it's just that where this like piece of wood, these 7 layers of wood were wrapped around, it was that point where it snapped. And that's kind of like a really high pressure point, that if there's too much pressure, like your weight is in the front and then the truck is behind you, it will twist right there.
Oh.
And I mean, it's a really sturdy board, and I had never had a single like crack on it ever, but it just all of a sudden like snapped. And there's evidence, even though I don't have the thing anymore, there's evidence to show that like it snapped from under me.
Whoa.
So it's not that I slipped and fell off of it. I mean, that's ultimately what happened, but the thing broke from under me, went from 4 wheels to 2. And of course, I was going probably 25, 30 miles an hour down that hill, if I had to guess, faster than you can run. And there's always that threshold with bombing hills on a longboard or a skateboard that you get to a speed where if you were to bail and jump off, you're basically going to face plant or fall on your shoulder, do something, because you're literally going faster than you can run to deal with. And so there was no out of it, it's just the board snapped from under me. I went flying. And because I skate regular, not goofy, so I'm going to fall, like if I'm sitting this way, I'm going to fall to my left. And sure enough, that's where I hit my head. And I was not wearing a helmet. I don't think I even owned a helmet at that point in time, or had one on campus. And I mean,
Now you do. Huh?
Now I don't, but then again, I'm not skating at all right now. Not even bikes or anything. I'm walking.
Wait, back to the fall. When do you know who found you on the fall?
I don't know who found me, but I heard hand to hand that within maybe 5 minutes of whatever position I was in, I was found by a group of 4 students. And because thankfully, like that was the beginning of fall quarter, there was, the full capacity of 20,000 students on campus.
Yeah.
And so somebody, even though East Remote is like down in the corner of campus, like it's a very big parking lot. And so if anyone was using a car, they probably would have found like my board snapped in pieces and me either unconscious or dazed. And we don't know which one I was. When I eventually talked to the police officer who was brought to the scene first, I can ask him and see like, okay, was I unconscious? Like, what was my situation? What was going on? But in any case, like whoever found me knew I was not in good shape, not doing well, and they called 911. Campus police showed up, or at least like the police part on campus, and they came. Like their office is like literally slightly down the hill, so it probably didn't take them far to get there. They also found that I was not in good shape, and within some amount of time, I think about in total half an hour, they brought an ambulance and EMTs and all that, and they put me on an ambulance and had to take me all the way to San Jose over the 17 pass, which is about a 25-minute drive there, but like in total about a 35-40-minute drive regularly.
Wow.
With the ambulance, it probably would have been a little quicker, but I was on the move. And so,
were you angry when you came to, and like they started like telling you all the information that happened?
I was frustrated, of course. Like I
more you were like, I've never fallen, you're lying.
No, well, not only that is I was hit in the head hard, like really bad, and to the point where I probably had some brain damage, honestly. And I know for a fact that like the part that was affected the most was language. That when I first woke up, I could not say much of anything. I couldn't really speak. I just felt emotions and frustrated and confused and dazed and restrained, like quite literally. My arms were kind of like tied there, and I just didn't really know why I was there. And also my hair was gone, like all of it. And previously I had like this, like I bleached it blonde.
Beautiful mane.
It was beautiful. It was like center part, like all the way down to like here. And I was like peak visually, like enjoying life at that moment. And I woke up and suddenly all of my beautiful hair, which I had done like 3 weeks earlier, just zooped. And I'm like, why am I here? Why do I have all these wires on me? Why do I have like IVs jammed into both arms? Why is I have like a long beard now? And it's like, the feeling was very much Neo waking up in the Matrix for the very first time. He's like naked in a tube.
You're in slime.
Yeah.
I was not in slime, thankfully. I was warm, but I had all these tubes and just a place I had never been before, surrounded by nurses who I had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
And when they came up to me, they never really had much to say, mainly because I was probably like anxious or whatever. And I was not in good shape either. And it was tough.
Were your parents there at the time?
They were. My mom especially was there through the whole 6 days that I was in a medically induced coma, which is why eventually I woke up. And in those first 3 days, we had no idea if I was actually going to wake up or not.
Yeah.
And like, that's just 72 hours, but that was a long freaking 72 hours for my mom.
Yeah.
Where she's just sitting there and just like waiting and waiting. And I mean, some of the nurses were like more optimistic.
Yeah.
And they knew I was young. And so the nurses would be positive. But the doctors, especially like one doctor in particular, I've heard, had to be straight about it. And just
You like put a blanket over your face already?
No, they had to like say it how it is. And how it was they did not know if I was going to like survive or like be in a good state to actually be like waking up from the coma. when I woke up, who was I going to be?
Yeah.
Was I going to be a vegetable? Was I going to like be any of myself?
Did they like, so like what side is the memories on, or like the side, or like personality? Like, is that the same side as like where you got hit?
That
in your heart.
That I don't know. But I mean, my whole left side of my brain was swelling. I mean, that's the reason they did the surgery to begin with, was to remove bone, which I mean, your skull is there to protect your brain, but when your brain is swelling,
So you need to relieve the pressure.
it was swelling, and had they not done that, it would have just kept swelling and just caused more damage.
Yeah.
Because there's like, the brain is too big in a really bizarre, terrible way, that it would start damaging other stuff beyond what had already been damaged. So by removing a large piece of bone, allowed my brain to actually swell and take the space it needed, such to heal. And then by putting me in a medically induced coma, just like I wasn't worried about anything else at that point. I'm not conscious, and so
during that time, when they remove the bone from your skull, do they kind of just wait for it to just go back down? Is that what the 7 days medically induced coma was for, or what would they do?
No, it was. I mean, they took the whole surgery. I mean, they take the piece out, but then they have to like close everything back up, or else it wouldn't be safe. You need to secure that you don't want it getting infected and all that.
So, but there was no bone there, right? For like a couple months.
There was no bone there for 8 months.
So you like could have like just. Did you ever touch it?
Yes.
How did it feel?
Was it cool?
I mean,
like a fake boob?
Like a real boob.
I wish.
I mean, there are pictures of me looking a little like Megamind.
Yeah.
And my mind was mega huge for other reasons.
And you're like in blue face?
I wasn't. Well, I don't think my face was blue. But I mean, for the first like couple months where I was still like swollen, like it was like poofy in one side, and eventually it sort of caved in back down to the usual side. And so I had a big dent on this side for
like round, flat, round, like, right?
Yeah, I mean, not exactly flat. It was kind of like a concave in. And it just never felt right. For the entire 8 months that I had it, it was just...
Could you feel, like, even without touching it, could you just feel, like, the weight on your head?
It's like you don't feel like you're in one piece, because you aren't in one piece. Not only that, you don't have, like, a solid thing protecting your brain. Your brain is like Jell-O consistency, I've heard, such that as I tilt my head back and forward, brain goes...
Oh, you could literally feel it?
No, but it was a massive dull headache almost at all times.
Oh, my God.
If I tilted my head in particular ways, it would get worse. Like I couldn't really like lie on my back and tilt my head all the way back, because then that would just be like a splitting headache that just show up all of a sudden. I have to get up and like not do that.
You weren't able to sleep on that side, right? Like
can't sleep on that side either. Of course, because it's like really sensitive. Without bones there, the only thing between like you and your skull is a few layers of skin, and like a couple other membranes in there, but not anything safe. And so, I mean, what they don't tell you about like missing bones is, I mean, you don't think about this until someone tells you, but like, yeah, of course you can't sleep on your left side or whatever side it's on. I feel terrible for people who maybe got this sort of thing on the back of their head. How are they supposed to sleep?
Like
I mean, that would be like side only, or like
sleeping like a shiatsu chair.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
With the holes in it.
Yeah. You guys seen those porns?
Something like that, but it was not comfortable, and to this day I still sleep majority on my right side, because I mean this is
so used to it. Still it's sensitive.
I mean, yeah, it's still healing. I'm getting to the point where I can actually like rest my head on that side for a few minutes before it starts getting kind of weird feeling. I'll have to go back, but I'm just wondering if it's actually going to stay that way, where I have to sleep on the right side from this point forward, or it's just like force a habit at this point, because I had to get used to it.
Did you ever like roll over in the middle of the night onto that side? Like
As far as I'm aware, no, or else
Okay.
I would have.
You just hear
it.
screams.
Generally, I'm aware of myself when I like have to move myself to a different position. That's something I'm generally conscious of.
crazy.
But then I like pass out again so quickly. I don't know how it works, but it's like I've gone to bed like sleeping on the right side, and I wake up sleeping on the right side.
Okay.
So as much as I remember of sleeping, I suppose I've never like woken up to myself being on the other side, or also I would have felt it.
Yeah.
Or just like blood on the pillow. Wouldn't it be like that? It just all
It would
pain.
just be a headache.
Oh, okay.
That never happened though. Like, well, at least at first, when you had the stitches and everything, you never just woke up to blood on your pillow.
I had that when I was circumcised.
Because I don't know what would actually bleed. Because I was asleep for 6 days. Those 6 days,
Oh, okay, so it was
healing.
already
Yeah,
pretty
so
healed.
the first
Okay.
6 days it was healing. The second time I had the surgery, they had like a tube actually going in on the backside.
Sucking it all out.
This tube that it wasn't like a vacuum cleaner or anything, but it was just a tube. It went down
Like a
to this little pouch.
Yeah.
That looked like a grenade. It looked like I have pictures of this like weird circular grenade size freaking thing. And after like, I don't know, some amount of time, I looked down on it and it has this kind of like, it looks
Yellow
like blood, but
pus,
it's kind of like pink color
Like
and
things floating in there.
with water. Thankfully not. I don't think so. Maybe something. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
But it was just this unpleasant thing, walking around with this grenade and this wire attached to the back of my head. I mean, through this whole thing of just getting this new piece in, I feel like I am like a cybernetic person now. You know, like Cyberpunk
I heard.
2077, of course.
All I know is that game wasn't good.
It got better.
Okay,
No
that's
way.
good.
Did it really?
Well, after like 6 updates in
That's
half a year, almost a year.
infuriating.
I mean, yeah, of course, that's unfortunately the case. But I mean, in that game and just cyberpunk worlds, that genre in general, people and cybernetics are like one and the same, and it's like culturally accepted and encouraged even to like make yourself better just with these pieces. And I'm not saying like this piece that was put in my head like gives me superpowers of any kind. It doesn't increase my aiming skills or like anything like that. I still suck at Counter-Strike. So, but it apparently it's twice as strong as your actual regular skull would be.
Yeah.
And
Wait, it's twice what?
twice as strong.
Oh, wow.
So
You
Fire.
can take bullets now.
no,
Yeah.
no.
So if you had the same fall now, you'd be like, you just dust yourself off.
No.
Oh.
I still think it might. There are some like weak points. It has these 4 like screw parts that kind of go out, and then there's actual titanium screws that go into my actual skull, and they're in certain positions. One of them, which I can feel, it's like right here, and it's kind of lumpy right here. It's very subtle, but I can feel it, and every time I poke it, it's just like ow.
Is there like a metal detector issue when you?
Because it's titanium, it's not. Generally, I mean, metal detector possibly. They're really small, like really small. MRI, they're MRI safe as well. I'm gonna have an MRI in maybe a month or 2, and I can look at it and see like what is this thing in my head. That might be cool to look at. I'm sure CAT scan can also see it. But when I go to like TSA and they do their scans, they'll probably see that something's there and ask me about it. I'm like, yeah, I got a thing in my skull.
Yeah, they're open that shit up. Wait, so since you got surgery, was it ever an option like, hey, we're already doing like the left side of your head. You want like the whole head titanium? Like, was that an option, or would that just
the
be
head's not
irrational?
titanium.
No,
It's like
no. The piece itself is it's a carbonate something or other, calcium phosphate. I need to like do research on what it actually is. It's just like a really strong polymer of some kind. And the titanium, the only part that's titanium is the tiny little screws that were put in. The actual piece that goes between the piece itself and the screws, I don't know what material it is, but it's strong as well.
Okay. Would you get like a full cap if you had the option? Because you did say it's like stronger.
Not.
Yeah. Oh.
Absolutely not. Dude.
I was about to be like, well,
Dude,
if it's
why
already
would
stronger.
I remove more of my skull if I've already removed 10 square inches of it?
Because it's kind of like when a baby is born and they're like, hey, well, he's already like in pain. You want to just circumcise him right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just get this going.
At least, but like that's different because like they're taking away from you. You know what I mean? At least you'd be getting something back with that. I mean, you were just saying in Cyberpunk, like it's like it makes you better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 57 years from now, though. 55.
Hey, you could get that V2.
Well,
You're,
I mean,
you're
I'm
ahead
already
of the curve. That's pretty much what we're saying. So why stop
You're
now?
the future, Kai. What's that thing that Elon Musk is working on? Chips?
Oh, well, fuck that shit.
What is it called? Google Glass?
Google Glass. Oh, that tanks so hard though.
What was it called though? It was a Neuralink.
Neuralink. Yeah.
Neuralink. Huh?
I heard
But
it's
you
like
know-
killing monkeys and shit right now, though.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait for that
Just
one.
wait for
But-
version 2.
Bottom
V2 is gonna go
bottom
crazy.
line is I am one like step closer to like that potential future where I don't know if it's actually going to happen. Like cyberpunk world, it's very dystopian, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, it's like for the rest of my life now, I will have this prosthetic piece in, and it might only. I'm really. I mean, fingers crossed that in 50 years I don't start having problems with it, but that is entirely possible.
Yeah. Like
Because-
problems in what sense? Like you just like
in
needs to be
the
replaced.
sense
like,
that like there was a crack somewhere,
Oh, wow.
or my body decided to start like rejecting it, and
Oh, man.
there's a number of things that could happen with the piece that they put in. Apparently, it's like brand freaking new too. Like it's new tech that they just put in.
Like your patient
like,
zero.
Like FDA approved within the last year. So it's like state of the art stuff that they
Whoa.
put in, but it won't be in 50 years. It'll be antique in 50 years,
Wow.
as I will be too. So I mean, these are things that future me will have to deal with. But it's entirely possible that this piece isn't like forever, and they'll have to do something at that time. But maybe there's more they can do, or like better thing, they just never have to.
When you were in the hospital, did you get like messages from people that you haven't talked to in a while?
Oh, that was a day. That was a day. I'm gonna take a.
Was I in that group chat? I think I wasn't.
Did any of y'all text me?
I remember I was like, Kai, what happened to our streak?
We didn't have a streak. my
Yeah,
guy.
not anymore. But
Snapchat streaks. I had a Snapchat streak with one of my friends that we made in high school. And at that point, it had been, I believe, like we were at 1,800 something days.
oh my gosh,
1,800 days.
Did you call Snapchat?
you should have been like, might as well just
I
kill me.
should have, but okay. Snapchat, if you mess up a streak after like having 1,000, like over 1,000 streak,
Yeah.
you can say, "Help, we sort of messed up, but can we have it back, please?"
Yeah.
And because it's over 1,000, they will give it to you
Yeah.
without saying anything.
Whoa.
Yeah, secret.
So you
Life
got
jack.
that?
No,
Oh.
because it was 2 weeks before I was able to actually like get access to my phone.
Oh, okay. That was probably like at the
And
end
so
of your list.
yeah, so like, I mean, within 24 hours, if you submit that and be like, "Hey, Snapchat streak," but 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks.
I feel like if you called them and you like explain the situation, then my friends
Yeah.
might give it to
I
you.
don't think
like,
I physically could have at that point in
Yeah,
time just
that's
because
good
my
point.
language was
Yeah.
gone. I was having difficulty like texting. Okay, but the day I was like conscious enough and doing stuff enough that I could actually at least type in the code for my password. I opened it up and it was just like just so many like messages and people like I sort of vanished, and like there were people I had met in class the first day, and of course I was gone. Like
That's
some of
crazy.
my friends thought like I just
disappeared.
I did disappear, and so few people knew exactly what happened and where I had gone. And so I got like all sorts of messages. Some
What
people,
if there was that guy from Pool? He's like, should have rematched me.
I haven't actually talked to that man. I don't know where he went.
Does he know?
Probably not.
He should have been like,
There's a lot of people who don't know.
Do you ever look to that though and like think like oh like if I just did this different, this wouldn't have happened.
I would have
like,
still bombed that hill in the same way, I think.
Yeah.
I would have been a little more tired.
Yeah. Does it ever frustrate you though that it happened? That you're like, I can't believe like it set me back, like all this shit. Like
At first it did.
yeah.
Mainly because I was like at a point that I'd been working for so long. I mean, through the pandemic, I think we all had our like pandemic stuck at home thing. But for me, it was like longer because I missed my entire junior year. I did that from home completely. And I was about to do my senior year alone. And that would have been my only like college, like proper university experience.
Oh, it wouldn't have been in person?
No, well, I mean, my senior year would have been in person.
Oh, okay.
And I would have gone through that year very quickly because it goes quick. And then by May, June, I would have graduated. I would be done with university. And at that point in time, I don't know if I was exactly ready to like go out. I don't know. I mean, to this day, I still know exactly what I'm going to be doing after university. But at that point in time, I wasn't like ready to give that up yet because I hadn't had enough like experiences. I didn't feel like I had done enough like at university. And that academic year was going to go and I was going to do all my classes and have to mostly focus on the classes. But what about the radio station? I mean, I'd been there for some time, but I was going to be out of there as soon as I showed up. And so even at first, and for like the first few months, especially after the month at the hospital and coming home, that like November was hard just because I was nowhere close to who I was beforehand. And especially with the language issues where I went from being a very like diligent, talky person, which I feel like some of y'all probably remember. It's like one of my friends told me like, I just don't shut up. Well, I mean, I do shut up. I just have a lot to say and I say it very quickly and I keep going. And I mean, how I'm talking right now, I mean, I've gotten most of that back. Sorry, but
I haven't talked in 5 minutes.
You haven't talked in 5 minutes. I'm sure.
Is dude done yet? Fuck.
It's my turn.
Okay.
I'm totally joking. I'm totally keep going.
Part of it is, of course, that you have to do that when you're a radio station dude.
Yeah, I remember you were saying that when Dylan was asking you over the camera, you're like, you can't have dead air. Like, you just have to keep going and going.
Have to keep going.
Like, you ever, like, force yourself where you're like, wow, I just said something stupid? Like,
well, yeah.
Big boobs. And, like, like you say that to kill dead air.
Thankfully, I don't have Tourette's. Or I might. No, I mean, in the main point is, like, a lot of my, especially with, like, my radio shows, for that first year I did it, it was always remote. It was remote because I was 350 miles away from the campus. There was no one at the station at that point in time. So if I wanted to have my 2-hour show, like 10 to midnight on a Friday, I had to pre-record it, edit it down in Audition and send it in and like pretend like it's live, even though it's remote. And I mean, I still had to like tell people it was a remote, but my very first live show I did on my own ever was 4 days before the accident.
Wow.
My first one. And it was one of like my best shows up to that point. I mean, it was live and so it had its own issues and I hadn't really been practicing live, but I had been practicing talking on the mic and I tried to do all of my vocal breaks while I was editing them in one take. Not only does that save me time trying to like fix all of my slip ups and like take away like big breaths or something, that makes my job easier for editing. But like I knew it's like, well, okay, once I'm finally there, then I should be able to just go for it. And with all that practice, it sort of worked out. And that first episode where I was live went pretty well. I had a really good time. And then
it's a good thing you made it, because like if you only had that one live show, people would have like posted and be like, he would have been great, but now you got to keep going, right? You know what I mean? It would have been like a weird like tribute episode. If you did pass, you know what I mean?
You know, it's interesting because in the six days that I was in a coma, my mom just kind of sitting there, she went to the radio station's website, and when we do a show, even live, it's available online for about 2 weeks. We do it through a service. She said that she played my show for me, the one I just did live.
Wow.
She played it. with all my music, like my favorite music at the time.
That's sick.
And she just played it thinking that maybe if like I could hear my own music, like even though I'm completely unconscious and I don't recall this happening, of course, but like
And you just like wake up and then turn it off and go back. What the fuck is this?
I'll give you rocks, but don't play trash. No.
You go to sleep, you have another coma for like a week.
I've been in a coma for a week, and my mom's like, you know, sobbing there, like playing my music, like in a moment, and I wake up. I'm like, oh, I messed up that vocal break. Can you skip that? And I pass out immediately.
Sleeping woman.
But yeah, so flash forward like 2 weeks to the November where like I think my voice was just at its worst point, where I was just so difficult to just say things and put together even like third grade levels of sentences and short stories or whatever, conveying what I needed to convey. And I listened to myself and just felt terrible because like I was at my peak.
Yeah.
Like practicing this stuff for the radio show, and week by week I could see like how I was improving over that whole year. And I'd like spend some nights just kind of listening to myself or reading something I had written in my like notes app, and just like how I don't know if I'm just gassing myself up, but I was a pretty good writer at that point in time. I was proud of what I was writing, even if it was just like a journal entry. Just whatever it was, I was like, I don't think I'd be able to write this again in the same way.
Oh, wow.
And that's just how it was for such a long time. And I eventually, like, come like January, I started going to a big like group of therapists who would actually come to my house. And like one of them was a physical trainer, one of them was cognitive and language. And so we do like our just like teaching me how to like speak again and remember words. And
Wait, they all came at the same time?
No.
Okay, I was thinking
it was like,
okay, I would have been like, that's weird.
It was like as much work as going to university, except like they'd show up and they'd give me like exercises I needed to do and homework I had to do. And it was, I mean, it kept me busy. It was a pain and sort of difficult also because I was stuck at home. I couldn't drive at that point in time. And of course, my mom isn't going to let me touch my longboard or even like regular bike, which through the pandemic, I would bike around town at like 2 a.m. just because like, and go in like big loops. That's how I exercised during the pandemic. And I couldn't do that either. Yeah. I was like more confined during just through this than I was in the pandemic.
It's crazy because like you didn't get fat throughout that process.
I got skinny.
Oh, okay.
I did not eat enough, low key. And I mean, I wasn't. Yeah.
Like you didn't have an appetite, or were you just like going through it where you just like couldn't eat?
I mean, sometimes there just wasn't like things to eat. I mean, I have like chips here and there or something, but also again, like I don't think I was exercising that much, and so I wasn't using a lot of calories, and so I didn't need a lot of calories. And I think I dropped slightly underweight at one point.
Wow.
Yeah.
How what do you think's changed in how the way you think before and after the accident? Like, are you better at doing one thing now? And like, what things are you worse at doing now? Well,
I mean, obviously, I don't think I'm at 100% on the language, like conversation stuff. I'm at this point in time, and it's been 10 months, which is kind of crazy because sometimes it takes years for people to like recover, like just being able to have conversations like this. That's gotten to a point where I don't notice like things that were easy back then. I mean, things seem to be smoother and smoother the more I talk and do all the things that I need to be doing. And I that's gotten to a point where it's much better than it was. But for a very long time, it was not where it needed to be, of course. And I still mess up where like I'll need to remember what a word is, and I'll have to ask people, okay, what's that word? I think I used that earlier. Do you remember what I asked? It was when you whiff. You're playing Valorant, and you just like you could have gotten this.
I feel like that's like a niche word, though.
Yeah,
I don't think
that
I
is a niche
would
word, and at this point, it is niche words or words that you just don't use very often, and also words that are related to specific topics. So if I was talking to somebody about bikes or video game design, that's my major. I had to talk to people about like what we were coding and why like we needed to do it this way, and I had to like remember all of these words I had learned, but also like since forgotten. And then as soon as I remember that a word exists, I'm like, oh, this word exists, and then it takes me 3 to 5 tries of just using that word so that I can like get it back. And I've had to do this for, at this point, thousands of words, it feels like.
Yeah. So right before the accident, we were kind of talking about how you're like on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like now, just kind of like going through this entire journey, obviously you still have like a little bit more to go, but like mentally wise, like, do you feel like you're happy? Do you feel like you can kind of like...
I think I've grown a lot.
Yeah.
And that I was certainly like, who I was before is not who I am now.
Yeah.
Of course, I've become wiser. I've learned a lot. I feel more mature, a lot more mature. And I also feel like this overall has been like, a terrible experience that no one should have. But for me, like, at least there's upsides to it, that I've learned all these things and learned what's better, what isn't. I don't know. It's we're feeling better, I think. Yeah.
What's the worst part about the whole thing and your favorite part about the whole thing?
Give me like 1 sec. I need to like pause for a second. I had a seizure just now. It's called
You said this morning?
just now.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
Because I
gosh.
couldn't feel my arm.
What?
That's kind of why I stopped, because suddenly like words weren't working. And they were working great, and then they weren't, which means mild seizure. And that generally
my
happens
gosh.
when I've been talking too much.
Oh, so we can do that for clickbait, huh? No, I'm just kidding. Are you okay though? Like, was it just like a
Yeah. Oh my god.
Kai has a seizure on camera.
Simple partial seizures are seizures where you don't actually become unconscious. You just like do stuff. And in my case, I have 2 different variants. One of them is my arm, and sometimes the right side of my jaw will become like numb, like
Whoa.
very numb, to the point where like I'm trying to type stuff and I can't feel my thumbs. This always happens when I'm playing Rocket League, which sucks.
Whoa.
Like I'm
That's
trying
the
to
worst.
clutch and suddenly I can't hit the X button.
Damn, dude, that's like the worst time to have a seizure.
This is a result of the surgery or
Of
the accident?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
something that you're gonna deal with for the rest of your life, or like is it...
That's to be determined. I do not know.
Clear.
scary.
I do not know how long these will last, but right now I'm taking some medication.
Yeah.
But even with the medication, it still happens sometimes. And thankfully, it only lasts a little while.
Okay.
The other variant, which is a little worse, is like I'll be talking perfectly fine, as I've been for like an hour, and then all of a sudden I can't comprehend what other people are saying, and I can't create words for about 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy because we didn't notice anything.
Well, that's
it's just all.
I had the arm variant.
Oh, okay.
Right
Oh,
now.
okay. I see.
So thankfully, like I'm still able to talk to you guys. Hopefully, it will stay that way. But yeah, I was actually for the radio station. I'm the production director, and I was training someone else, our new program director, how to actually use the remote robot software. And that was an hour-long Zoom call, one-on-one. And I got to the very end of it where I just was like talking to her at the very end. And then suddenly I couldn't quite understand what she was saying, and I couldn't say anything. And I had to tell her like, hey, I gotta end the call because health reasons. And she's like, okay, sure. Like, bye, thank you. You know?
Then you stand up, you turn around, there's like a poo poo in your pants.
No,
No, but that's crazy.
You can't do it to him like that. Come on.
I stay shitting on y'all. No, but
So
I feel like did you explain to her like, oh, I just had like a
Well, I
a
couldn't.
minor seizure?
I
oh,
could
really?
not. I mean, I should
what
have
about
text-
afterwards though? Like you
I
didn't like see
should
her
have
again?
texted her like 15 minutes later and been like, "Hey, sorry, had a mild seizure. Don't
Like,
worry
you
about it."
haven't seen her since then or talked to her since then? Like,
Nah.
Oh, damn.
okay.
So I should have, but like
Yeah.
I was kind of stressed out about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt bad, even though it was like a really good meeting up until that moment.
Yeah.
But
Isn't it skip? Do you think it's also stress induced?
yeah.
Oh my! Oh, so like during school?
I
you
mean,
think,
for finals week, like, I mean, I was just eating dinner with my friends, but I had like 2 projects due the next day. And like, I'm literally eating food and suddenly my arm just goes numb. And I had to tell my friends, like, hey, sorry, but I can't feel my arm. Not that it affects you guys, but
Yeah.
that's just what's happening. And
Does it like make you want to like disassociate? Like you kind of just like want to
no,
like. Okay.
like that's not my arm.
I mean, I get dizzy and lightheaded, sort of, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
And despite actually they upped my meds, they upped my meds. It's I don't know, all right.
What meds are you on? Anything good?
No,
You can share.
it's called. I keep forgetting the name of it. It's like like I read.
Lotrimin?
What is it?
Is it Lotrimin?
No.
What is that? I feel like I just had that name in my head.
It's
Never heard that
probably
before.
some hard stuff. The one I keep reading the label on it on the pill bottle, and it's like lamotrigine, and the tri is in capital letters, and the lamogene.
It's like a Bad Bunny song.
Lamagine. Yama. You're racist.
How is that racist?
That was racist.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what are your next moves now? Like obviously you're starting this fall semester.
Never
In a
let
month.
them know your next move.
Kai starts flying.
I take a sip and it just goes past me. But well, right now, I mean, my first goal is to just college,
Yeah.
university. Finally, like, you know, I waited long enough the first time,
Yeah.
and then I had to wait another year almost for take 2, and so this time I am not allowed to mess it up.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't want.
Does that like ever like get to you? Like you ever just worry? Like you cringe a little bit thinking like something can go wrong?
Well, I mean, I'm much safer at this point in time. I
Yeah.
try to stay safe for myself. I'm eating healthy. I'm trying to stay away from alcohol and other drugs as much as I can. And overall, I'm very aware of like how fragile we actually are. That all it takes is one slip in the wrong direction and you're out. One bonk, and that like hitting the ground probably only took maybe 5-10 seconds, because
Yeah.
I did slide a little bit, like my pants were all like torn up, but
You still have that fit?
I still have the fit.
Fit, yeah.
The
Right,
drip.
the fit. Well, I don't.
Made it out of the crash fit.
Well, I do have the pants. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. It's like torn up.
You
but
should
it's
wear it on
still-
the 1 year just to prove people wrong. Like, hey, I'm a survivor.
Should have worn them right now.
Yeah.
I lost a sweater I was wearing at that time. I lost my favorite shirt as well.
Damn.
It was a like dark blue and white tie dye that I tie dyed myself, and it was really dope. It was like the coolest shirt I've ever tie dyed, and the only shirt I've ever tie dyed. But I was proud of it, and I was wearing that underneath the sweater. And I guess in the ambulance they had to cut both of those off to like get access to my chest.
And they don't pay you back for that, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there was blood. I don't know, but they
Well, if you
gave
see, like,
me
a-
back the pants.
Oh.
You know, they gave me the pants. I had like the week before I got my first like piercing, it was like just on the left side, one little stud thing, and they gave me that piece back. But of course, it like healed up immediately.
Yeah.
So now I have to actually. And thanks for reminding me. I have to go back and actually get that re-pierced once I'm done with MRIs, because MRIs I have to take it out, and I don't want to do that if it's like in the first 40, 60 days. There's also this necklace.
Oh.
This necklace is a necklace that I made. It has its own lore that's a little too long to talk about right now, but its lore continues as this was the necklace I was wearing when the accident happened. And I don't know if you can see it over the camera, but at the front there's some scratches on it. And that's when it like scraped along the ground. As I was scraping along the ground, it got messed up too.
Whoa.
And literally my first time trying to make like a wire wrapped thing, and it's
That's sick.
It's cool looking. It's a little messy, but I like that it's like messy.
That
But
looks
now
good.
it has
That's
so
sick.
much lore beyond just like this accident. There's other lore again, but like this piece they gave back. And also this ring. This is just a plastic ring that was given to me by one of my close friends. And the only finger that it fits on happens to be the ring finger, which I'm sure confuses a lot of people.
So you're single, ready to mingle?
He's like, what about
No
us?
comments. But I don't know, through like recovering from the accident, and also I had the helmet, which I know we didn't really talk about, but I had this big egg of a helmet that I put a beanie over it just so it was a little more human and less egg. Like I felt like Humpty Dumpty because I did fall and they had to think about putting me back together, but they took me apart more instead. But I don't know. There's just like all these pieces that, clothing wise, since we were talking about that, like I lost that shirt. I have to remake it at some point.
What if you're like walking around Santa Cruz and you just see like a paramedic wearing that shirt, the tie-dye one you had? We'd get him, dude.
I would be extremely surprised if that happens, but let's just say hypothetically, we see such things. I would probably be like, hey, that's a cool shirt. Where'd you get it? And then
He's like,
he
runs
down.
away.
What if he's like, oh, there's this crazy story. There was this kid who, and then you realize it's you.
Well, at least I get to meet one of like the EMTs who helped me out.
That's so cool.
Good point. Yeah.
You should try to find those kids that found
I
you.
do, actually.
Or like they're in
Like-
therapy right now. Like who knows?
No, I do want to put like a casual put out at some point and be like, hey, if y'all like, it's been a freaking year now.
You should do like a picture of you when you felt like face look familiar. Reach out to me. I made it. My name's Kai
Have
Turner.
you seen this man as you sleep?
Yeah,
Whatever that is.
it's you. Or just say like wanted for murder, and then
Nah.
that won't do
Wanted
anything actually.
for sick licks.
But anything to say to people with helmets?
Wear them.
Uh-huh.
If you own a helmet, wear them. I know, like, I could say freaking anything to any like proper skater, and they probably wouldn't listen to me, and that's just how it is. But if like I'll be, I don't know, just walking around town or driving or something, and I'll see like teenagers on their bikes or their skateboards, and they're just doing what they're doing and not wearing a helmet. There's so much I could say to them. There's so much I want to say to them, but it doesn't matter what I say. It's not, they aren't gonna listen. So I can just like keep it in mind, be like, just don't fall, dude.
Like, pray for him.
Don't fall. And if you're gonna fall right.
Yeah. Not left, huh? Because you fell on your left side. All right, it's a wrap. Good episode.
It's a
Kai.
wrap. It's a wrap. Hey, whoa.
Love on my way, yeah. Touch on my rub on my love on my rub on my. Why do you want my dick all up inside your lips? Wanna just grab